Le focus mobilité se poursuit avec un regard cette fois-ci européen qu'on est très heureux de pouvoir vous partager ce matin. How Innovation Ecosystems Support Cities Sustainable Mobility Transformation. Nous accueillons Mariette Savakidis, CEO de l'EIT Urban Mobility.
Merci beaucoup. Bonjour à toutes et à tous. C'est un honneur pour moi d'être ici aujourd'hui à Paris afin de réfléchir ensemble et discuter de la manière dont nous pouvons collaborer pour façonner l'avenir de la mobilité urbaine en France et en Europe. That's it with my French. I had some great colleagues preparing this for me, but I wanted to give it a try. So forgive me for having to switch to English now. So all of you being here is a testament that you believe in the power of networks and of collaboration, just as we do. And we need that power now more than ever. We've heard before from the speakers that EU aims to be climate neutral by 2050. And more than that, we have over 100 European cities that have pledged that they want to become climate neutral by 2030. And among them are actually 9 French cities. So congratulations to that big ambition. And we need this high ambition. So what we've seen this year is actually showing our future. So we've seen temperatures above 45 or at 45 degrees in southern Europe. We've seen flooding of metro stations and trains in Madrid last week, flooding of roads in Greece. So this is the future that we're facing. So the question is, how do we make the cities resilient so that life as we know it will also be possible in the future? And we need 2 things for that. So we need speed in deploying new solutions, and we need to deploy them at scale. So in every corner of Europe. So how do we do that? We've heard before, collaboration is the key. So no one city, no one country, no one company can solve the big problems alone. Networks and ecosystems do play a pivotal role. And EIT Urban Mobility, for those of you, and I guess most of you don't know it, it's the European Innovation Community for Urban Mobility. And we bring together companies, research institutes, knowledge institutes, the cities to innovate together and bring new solutions to the market. That means not research, it means deploying, and deploying fast. Cities are at the center of innovation, and we don't just say that, but we live it. So it means that we start from the city's challenges and try to find solutions and deploy them very fast. Cities are the front runners of innovation. It might not always seem like that, but actually we have seen it after or during COVID, what happened there, the innovations, the new solutions, the pop-up cycle lanes, and all the things that have been happening in Paris are testament of that, that cities have the capacity to be innovation front runners, and we have to use that. But, of course, you know best than no one that this is sometimes easier said than done, because there are many barriers. There are structural, institutional barriers. There is red tape in the administrations. There is limited budget. There is bottlenecks in the staffing and so on. How do you procure new technologies in the municipalities? So we are well aware of all of this, and this means that we have to address all of those barriers if we want to actually make progress fast. So what have we learned during the 5 years of our existence as a innovation community? So first, and I already mentioned, cities must be at the center of innovation, but also that we have to deploy mature or at least market-ready solutions, because if we start researching, and researching 4 years and then testing and so on, so this is just not fast enough. And in mobility, we do have so many great innovations already and solutions that just need to be adapted to local context and be implemented. So we need a lot of local pilots, but then we also have to make sure that those local pilots can be scaled. So what do? We have programs where we identify concrete challenges of cities, then we do calls to the startup community, to the SME community, to find the right match for that solution. And this means, not only matching the French startups with the French cities, but actually finding, sourcing from all across Europe for the best solution for a problem. And then bringing the startups and the cities together to work in projects. And this is not easy, because startups, they have speed written on their DNA, whereas, some municipalities might claim that they have to, but we know the reality. So how to bring them together to work efficiently. So, and that takes sometimes a third entity like EIT Urban Mobility to actually support both sides for better mutual understanding, so the startups to understand, what are the administrative processes, what are the timelines that need to be respected, the regulation, and so on. And on the other hand, to help the municipalities as well to adapt a little bit to what the startups need and the timeline and dynamics. So, for instance, we do mentoring in agile project management, and this has proven to actually speed up things quite a bit. So we need to de-risk investment in innovation for the municipalities, and that is being done by doing pilots. So this is one example where we work with startups on waterborne transport. So we have celebrated the first worldwide, the first electric autonomous commercial ferry service in Stockholm. And I'm showing this because you might see this or a similar ferry during the Olympics next year, because we are also working on a project with Paris and those startups to develop a pilot for the Paris Olympics. Also another example, so Emmanuel Macron is going to visit Elon Road. Elon Road is a startup for inductive charging. It's a Swedish startup. And we are supporting them, and we are super happy. I just learned it yesterday that they will do a project outside of Paris. So the vehicles are charged, so both buses but also cars can be charged while driving on the road through infrastructure, and that will allow for smaller batteries. Then, of course, less use of materials. We've heard all of the challenges we have in the supply chain for electric mobility. So we need to find less resource-intense solutions to actually drive e-mobility. So startups have a big role to play, and together with the industry, and the industry has the volume, of course, and the scale. So they need to be in the front as well, but it has to be both of them, So the startups bring the innovation fast, and the big industry needs to actually then embrace the innovation either through joint ventures, or sometimes it's just simple acquisition. Embrace that external innovation so that we can actually drive things faster. Knowledge sharing is critical because we need to mainstream the good practices that we learn, the learnings from the pilots we do. And there is no one size fits all. Of course, you will always have to adapt to local circumstance, and each city has their own conditions. But where it has worked excellently was this concept of the 15-minute city. Of course, this originated here in Paris. This is why I'm actually choosing this example. But it has now created a lot of dynamic all across Europe. It's called different, so not the 50-minute city, but maybe the 10-minute town or the 20-minute neighborhood elsewhere. But it doesn't matter. It's the same principles. And did you know that in the US, of all things, they started talking about that as well, and they, of course, need it desperately. So this is great, and we want to see more examples of that. So the good practices actually being disseminated all across Europe and globally, if possible, so that the cities can get on and the innovators can get on the learning curve much faster. So, time's up, so I will end with the co-creation. I don't know if it has been mentioned, but co-creation with the citizens being a very important element, of course, of any pilots that we do. So in order for the new solutions to be accepted and then adopted, we need to bring in the citizens early on. What do we do? So we help cities who don't have the innovation capacity like Paris or other French cities. So oftentimes cities in Eastern European countries, we offer them courses to teach them, how are other cities in Europe doing citizen engagement and participation, and thereby hoping that we will see more of those citizen participation activities all across Europe. So if you would like to explore a little bit more what we're doing, we have a booth outside, so you will see our colleagues there. And thank you again to invite us, Vincent, and HUB Institute. Merci beaucoup. And hope to see you at some other time and talk about innovation in cities. Thank you very much.